Today we'll be discussing how organisms such as plant and animal species can have structural and behavioral adaptations that can enable them to survive better in their living environment. So when we're talking about adaptations, that's going to be a change that helps an organism survive in its environment. Adaptations, there's kind of two routes we can go with this. We're going to talk about behavioral adaptations or structural adaptations. Behavioral adaptations are behaviors that animals or organisms can do in order to better survive. And we're going to talk about 3 examples of that. The first would be migration, animals moving from one area to another. So birds or butterflies migrate south because it gets too cold up north, and so they migrate so that they can survive better in that environment. Hibernation, bears hibernate, a deep inactive sleep during the winter. That's an example of a behavior animals do to better survive. The last would be dormancy, which is an inactive state in plants during the winter. So we're used to seeing trees like this in the winter where all their leaves fall off. They go dormant so that they don't die during the winter months when it's too cold for them. Structural adaptations. We're going to focus on these a little bit more, but both are equally as important. There's just a lot of structural or physical adaptations, and these are body parts that help an organism survive. Now, when we're thinking about animals or plants adapting or evolving, remember that this is going to take a long time over many different generations of animals. So the ones with the adaptation that gives them an advantage in the environment will then survive better, and then they'll pass that on to their children, and the ones without the helpful adaptation might die off. And so this is how species can evolve or adapt. So examples of this that we're going to talk about today would be fins, sharp teeth, claws, camouflage, wings, and bright flowers. So how do you think fins help an animal survive? Maybe the types of fins or just having them in general. Hopefully you were thinking about that shark has fins to help it swim faster. And so fins are a structural adaptation that help with movement. How do sharp teeth help an animal survive? Well, sharp teeth is a great resource for catching prey. We'll see that a lot of our structural or physical adaptations are about how to catch prey or avoid predators. And in this case, if we think about the animals with really sharp teeth, tigers, lions, this scary monkey, these are all predators that are attacking other animals, and so the sharp teeth help catch prey. How do claws help an animal survive? Well, similarly to the teeth, it could help catch prey as well. You can think about these look like an eagle or owl talons, swinging down and scooping up some animal and taking it back to eat. So claws can also help an animal catch prey. They also might have the advantage of climbing better. So one adaptation might have multiple functions. What about camouflage? So this insect that we see here is the same color as its habitat. So camouflage helps an animal survive because it allows it to hide from its predators or trick them. If you think about like the butterflies with the fake eye, or you can think about some animals like Zebras, it's so that their predators can't figure out where one zebra starts and the other ends. And we can also think about tiger stripes help camouflage a tiger, but that's not to avoid predator. That's so that the prey don't see them. So it's to catch prey. So camouflage helps to catch prey and avoid predators. What about wings? How do wings help an animal survive? Well, I think a bird's greatest asset is its wings because it allows birds to fly. So wings, just like fins, are for movement. Same with a bird's hollow bones. That's another structural adaptation that allows a bird to survive better in its environment. How do bright flowers help a plant survive? If you think about how a plant reproduces, makes more plants, what they need to do is be pollinated. And so those bright flowers on a plant are going to attract bees and animals that will help pollinate these flowers or these plants. Okay, so what structures do you notice on this penguin that are structural or physical adaptations? We can see the flippers to help swim, the white belly, the webbed feet. What do you think the function or the purpose of these structures are? Well, flippers to help swim better, webbed feet, same thing, and that white belly is like camouflage to blend into their environment. What structures do you notice on this frog? Cute little tree frog. So we've got sticky feet and green coloring. You might have said some other things. So what are the purpose of those sticky feet and that green coloring? Well, those sticky feet allow this tree frog to climb and jump through the rainforest really easily. And that green coloring is camouflage to hide that frog from prey. This PowerPoint's really way more fun in person when we can have a class discussion, but we're doing our best. Okay, well, this one just gives you the answers, but we can see we've got waxy leaves and extra large leaves. Now, why might a plant, this plant would be in the rainforest, have these adaptations? Well, a plant might have extra large leaves because there's a lot of foliage and shade around these plants, and so they have those really big, extra large leaves so that they can catch more sunlight, because they might be in an area where they don't get a lot of sunlight or it's pretty shady, and so they've got a bigger surface area to catch that light so that they can do photosynthesis and make their own food. What about waxy leaves? Well, that waxy sheen on those plants is going to keep the water in. And if you think about, this might be something where these plants are having trouble getting enough water. They're having to fight other plants, or it's really hot and so they don't want it to evaporate too much. So waxy leaves help keep the water in or retain water. Here's another example of structural adaptation, and that would be bird beaks. There's all kinds of different bird beaks, and you can think about a bird is going to have a special beak for what's best for their environment or what they're trying to eat, right? So if I catch fish, like in Finding Nemo, with my beak, then I need like a bigger bucket type of beak, versus if I'm trying to get seeds apart, or like a hummingbird, that needle, get that nectar out of the plants. So it really depends on what these animals are eating, and they have a beak that's special for that helps them survive. Okay, here we have a male and female peacock, and they look pretty different. Male and female birds are one example of a species where they look very different. You can also think about lions. The males have a mane and the females do not. Now, why might a male peacock have these giant feathers? These feathers, these beautiful colors, are actually an adaptation to help attract mates. And so this male peacock is trying to attract the female peacock. So color could be camouflage, but it could also be to attract a mate. Okay, here is your exit ticket. The diagram shows some adaptations of a Galapagos tortoise. Adaptations: long neck, egg laying, very long lifespan, hard shell. Which of the following adaptations of a tortoise helps it avoid animals that would eat it? So these are all adaptations of a tortoise, but which adaptation helps it avoid animals eating this tortoise? Pause it and play when you're ready for the answer. So a long neck, that's not going to help avoid predators. So I'm going to cross that out. Egg laying, that's not going to help avoid animals eating it. A long lifespan, well, that has nothing to do with getting eaten by predators. Your life's not going to be very long if you get eaten. Or a hard shell. Okay, that hard shell protects that tortoise, does not let anything break it and get into his soft body under there. So the answer is going to be D. Hard shell is a structural or physical adaptation that helps a Galapagos tortoise avoid being eaten.